What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Real One podcast. It's been a minute, but your boy is back. Quick life update, because y'all are wondering, hey, where's the podcast been? Like, where you been? It's been a minute. We've been waiting on a new episode since, like, June. Has it been since June? It's been a minute. Anyway, between summer and now, I've been working. So, between working and then I'm just getting back in the swing of school. It's probably about the 5th week back of school. So I've been busy. I've definitely been wanting to get back on the mic. And I've definitely got a lot to talk about today. So let's hop right back into it. Some NFL recap of what went down over the past since the last episode, really. Antonio Brown. So this is an interesting case because there's so much to unpack and whatnot. So for you who do not know, Antonio Brown's a wide receiver in the NFL, perennial All-Pro. Probably would have been, before all this, a Hall of Famer. I don't know if they'll still put him in after this, but his stats definitely line up. Anyway, he used to be a Pittsburgh Steeler, got out of Pittsburgh, went to Oakland. Started causing issues in Oakland, got cut by the Raiders, and then got picked up by the Patriots right after that. And then in the midst of all that, he got a few sexual assault cases that got brought up against him. But, even then, the Patriots were like, all right, we're just going to lay low for a little bit. So he still played a game. He played a game, called a touchdown pass. And then the following day after the game, or shortly after, he was released by the Patriots. And now he's on social media, calling people out, throwing people under the bus, things like that. And he says he's not playing football ever again. And then as of today, he re-enrolled in college in a Michigan school, I'm pretty sure. Central Michigan University. That's where he re-enrolled at. So, but the issue here is who's really in the wrong. The biggest thing is his career over, and is he wrong for what's going on? I think the way he's handled himself with each team, I don't think it's exactly admirable. I think there's a way to go about doing certain things, and I don't think he did that correctly. Excuse me. Yeah, it's a business, and then on the flip side of it, you would say the businesses would treat him as badly as they've treated him in some cases. The league, at the end of the day, they care about making their money, and that's all Antonio did, was he was worried about making his money, so you can't really blame him there. But on the opposite side of that are these sexual assault cases. When it first came out, I was definitely one of those people like, oh, it's kind of weird the timing of it, being that he just got to the Patriots, he just got his money, and then someone comes out and accuses him of sexual assault. So it definitely seemed kind of fishy. But once you look at it, and then you see more and more accusations coming up, and then you see released DMs of him threatening this lady that came out against him, it's not a good look for Antonio. My thing is, if you know you did things like this, I know it's not easy to say, oh, yep, I did it. But at this point, why not just be done with it? You've already kind of ruined your career by talking your way out of it. And then if you went and did this, go ahead and bite the bullet. Go ahead and, if you're innocent, say you're innocent, say nothing ever happened, and then just move on from it. But I feel like there's a sense of, like, granted, he said that people were lying, but he never necessarily specified what they were lying about. He never came out and officially said, no, I have nothing to do with this, at least to my knowledge. So I would like to see him come out officially and just dead all the stuff that's been going on. Talk about what went on in Pittsburgh, in Oakland, and then eventually with the Patriots. Talk about this case. Well, granted, legally, that stuff might be binding and you can't really talk about it. But clear your name. Don't give people a reason not to trust you or look to you in other situations. Because now you're looking at NFL teams. Granted, You said you're not playing football anymore. Speaking to Antonio Brown, if you said you're not playing football anymore, okay, that's fine. But should you still want to seek a career? What NFL team is going to pick you up, one, just solely after all the drama you've caused on your former teams, but also with all this litigation and baggage that you bring to the program? But like I said, I see both sides of it. I don't know why Alexa just went off, but Anyway,
Gospel of Matthew quiz, Bible enabled. Do you want to open it?
no. She out here messing up the podcast. I'm sorry, y'all. But anyway, I done lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, I see both sides of it. Speaking to the sexual assault side, it's easy to say the women just made it up. It's easy to dismiss it. But you also don't want to discredit the stories of not just those women, but the millions of other women that kind of come out or are afraid to come out against sexual assault because of that fear and intimidation factor. And then when they see people discrediting it on a larger scale, that just silences them even more. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to create that narrative of where I just completely dismiss it. But it does look suspicious that all of this happens to come out when it seems like his career is finally getting back on track. When he finally plays for the team he wanted to play for originally. When he gets, what is it, $30 million guaranteed dollars? It does seem kind of fishy. But hopefully they get this figured out soon. I would like to believe he didn't do it. I would like to believe that it's all just something that's going to blow over here soon. So I'm hoping he gets on the right track. He gets whatever help he needs. Because even aside from that, I think he just needs help just socially. I don't know what happened to Antonio Brown between the last week with the Steelers to now, but something mentally just doesn't seem to be clicking. But that's that on that. As far as my take on the Antonio Brown situation. Now to my favorite conversation, or even it's two in one here. It's kind of a bittersweet conversation to have, but it's also kind of an idiotic conversation to have. The Carolina Panthers defeated the Arizona Cardinals yesterday by a score of 38-20. Right? Cam Newton was not playing in that game. He was out with a foot injury, and he's also been listed out for next week against Houston. So backup quarterback Kyle Allen came in and put on a show. Let me get the exact stats for you all, but he had like a 128 QBR, 4 touchdowns thrown, 0 interceptions. Yeah, 19 for 26, 261 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That is an amazing stat line for somebody that has only started 2 games in his entire NFL career. Both of which games he won, both with the Panthers. He beat the Saints last season. Then he came in and beat the Cardinals this year. But the narrative around the Panthers organization is, do we have a quarterback controversy? Is Kyle Allen going to come in and take Cam Newton's job? To me, as a person who has literally grown up watching Cam Newton take over and like with his career and whatnot, since he came to the Panthers in 2011. I'm a huge fan of Cam. And I know Cam isn't the most accurate quarterback. He's not your traditional quarterback. But to say that this guy that came in and has started 2 games in his career is going to take the job of somebody that's put this franchise on his back for the past 9 years, I think that's disrespectful to Cam Newton. If Cam Newton comes back healthy 100%, and the offensive line blocks like they did last night against the Cardinals, and we actually get some play calling in, and people play as well as they played against the Cardinals last night, we're looking at a top-tier quarterback, almost MVP-level quarterback in Cam Newton, if he's healthy. Now, if you look at the offensive line last night, I think they only allowed something like 2 sacks. If that. Yeah, I don't even think it was 2. If Cam Newton can get a solid offensive line and remain healthy, the sky is the absolute limit. I don't think there's any quarterback controversy. There is no, well, Kyle Allen's going to take his job. Now, eventually, once Cam calls it quits and there's a clear decline in his play, will Kyle Allen be the eventual successor? I wouldn't mind that. I'd rather Kyle Allen take over than Will Grier, who, by the way, isn't the greatest quarterback I've ever seen play, especially as a rookie. There's nothing Will Grier has done to impress me outside of college. Since he's been in the NFL, played in the preseason games, I have not seen anything that makes me go, wow, Will Grier is going to be a great quarterback. But that's beside the point. That's beside the point. And the point is, there is no quarterback controversy. Cam will still be the quarterback of the Carolina Panthers. And if not, we have a garbage organization. Or they know something that we clearly don't know. But assuming he comes back healthy, assuming he comes back able to run the ball. I don't know if you all watched the Thursday night game against the Bucks. He would not run the ball. He actually ran backwards once instead of crossing the line of scrimmage. That is not the Cam Newton I know. If we get back the Cam Newton that we all know to be, he can be, this team's going to be dangerous. The wide receiver core it's stacking up to be pretty great. Christian McCaffrey out the backfield, who is easily the most versatile running back in the league right now. And then a defense that has showed leaps and bounds of improvement from last year with Eric Reed, Trey Boston, Dante Jackson, James Bradbury, and then the greatest linebacker of all time in Luke Kuechly, that's not even being biased. That's a fact. That's an undisputed fact. What Luke Kuechly is doing is unmatched by anyone else that has ever stepped on the football field. So, no, there's no quarterback controversy in Carolina. And really, the only people that think there is one are people that didn't want Cam here in the first place. And we can argue why they don't want him here, which we know why they don't want him here. It's what's understood doesn't have to be said. There's a certain group of people that see Cam Newton and the type of quarterback he is and who he is as a person. And it's like, nah, he's not the guy we want to be at the quarterback position for our franchise. There's a lot of fans that think that way. But what they don't realize, Cam Newton has been the greatest quarterback that this franchise has ever seen. Definitely the most decorated, the most successful, the one that has the most records. So for people to just discount Cam Newton, most of the flack that Cam Newton gets comes from his own fan base, comes from the Carolina Panthers fan base, I should say, which is ridiculous to me. But like I said, well, let's call a spade a spade. It's usually just the old white people that's grumpy on Facebook calling Cam Newton out. Nobody with common sense in this Panthers fan base thinks Cam Newton should be gone. Can he improve? Yes. Should he be gone completely from the team? Should he be benched for Kyle Allen? Absolutely not. And that's insane to think that. And if you think otherwise, I mean, you feel free. You all got the Twitter at Real One Podcast on Twitter. You can let me know if you disagree with that, but I will gladly tell you you're wrong. Gladly. Excuse me. We'll take this time here to tell you about Big Swins V Twins down in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I always like to shout out black-owned businesses. So if you have a black-owned business, or any small business really, but especially the black-owned ones, because those don't exactly get the love that they should, especially by black people themselves. Black people love to say they want to support each other and say they want to change and whatnot, but when it actually comes to supporting other black people, I'd say we kind of suck at it. We'd rather go elsewhere and spend our money or go elsewhere and show our support, but when it comes to actually keeping stuff in-house and build up our communities, when we see clearly other communities aren't building ours out. So why not build up our own? But anyway, like I said, Big Swins v Twins. Murchison Road in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Specializes on fixing up your Harleys. Anything you need done to it, he can do it. I've seen his work. I know his work. It's great. Tell him I sent you. Big Swins v Twins on the Merc. Now we get to an issue that, quite frankly, it's very disturbing in nature. Especially since it kind of hits close to home. Not that I'm necessarily from Frederick, Maryland, but I lived there for a smooth since sophomore year of high school until my family actually moved after my freshman year in college. So I stayed there a substantial amount of time. Recently, at the Great Frederick Fair, let me see if I can find the actual verbiage so I can read the article. But essentially, there was a fair going on, and then these two young teenagers punched an older white man. Teenagers were black, and knocked him out cold. He was completely unconscious at the fair. They flew him to shock trauma and things like that. And then later, while he was in the hospital, he eventually died. Let's read the actual article here. It says 2 teenagers have been charged in connection with the death of a man found injured at the Great Frederick Fair in Maryland. The Frederick Fair County Sheriff's Office responded to a report of an assault Friday near the Midway area of the fairgrounds and found 59-year-old victim unconscious. The man was flown to shock trauma in Baltimore for further treatment, and he died on Saturday. The witnesses told investigators that the man was a victim of an unprovoked attack by 2 juvenile suspects. No weapons were used in the attack, however. It says the guys were 15 and 16-year-old black males, and they will be held in juvenile detention while they await a hearing. Both have been charged are facing charges of reckless endangerment, first and second degree assault. Let me rephrase that. The 15-year-old is facing charges of reckless endangerment and first and second degree assault, while the 16-year-old is just being charged with one count of second degree assault. It's a lot of words, my fault. But my issue, yes, that's an issue in and of itself, but my issue is more so with the people talking about the issue. See, I've never been a fan of Frederick, Maryland. Like, I knew the type of people that live there. Are there some great people? Yeah. I would like to think the majority of the people that live there are great people. But you also get to a demographic of people that, to call a spade, they're racist. Let's call it. It's blatant racism. And it's, even from a high school standpoint, that high school I went to, it was a clear divide of races. You had the kids that were, that let's go ride my tractor to school and let's find the best breed of corn we can make. And then you got the other group of kids, which are more like urban or black minorities, that were just separated from that type of lifestyle that they had already had, that rural type lifestyle that the other kids had. Were there some kids that were just complete in the middle? Yeah, there were friendships. I'm not going to say black people and white people weren't friends at this high school. I'm not going to say white people and black people aren't friends in the community, and there's not natural harmony between whites and blacks in that whole county. But when I tell you that there are some covert, under the radar microaggressions and racism, especially institutionalized things, from the sports to academics to support getting to college from counselors. I think there's a lot of background behind the scenes work that goes on. But like I was saying, the issue was when I saw in the comments of this article. It's the fact that people are calling for the death of these two young boys is what blows my mind. I mean, what they did is wrong. Don't get me wrong. I expect them to be charged with a crime, yes. I expect them to go to jail for their actions, yes. But to call for the death of these young men who are black, yeah, they are black, to call for their death is ridiculous. Especially if you want to say, okay, oh, if it's a life for a life, okay, if you want to make that argument, then why are there so many police officers, white police officers, that get off every single time for shooting and killing an unarmed black man or black woman? Oh, but where's everybody calling for the death penalty then? If we're going to call for it every single time. Be consistent in what you want. I don't appreciate the wishy-washiness, because what it really shows is your racism. Your racism is showing. There was somebody sent me Facebook comments saying specifically they need to bring back capital punishment, and then the lady proceeded to say, hang them. And then somebody replied to that comment and said, yep, rope and a tall oak tree would do just fine. Ever since we stopped doing that, they've gotten out of control. That's insane. That tells you the type of people that we're in the midst of every single day. They're not even being discreet about it. Like, that's not even behind the scenes. That's right there in your face. Matter of fact, this lady's name is Sharon Keene on Facebook. I don't know Sharon personally, but just by the one statement she said, bring back capital punishment and hang them, that tells me all I need to know about Sharon Keene. Miller Donald is the one that said rope and the tall oak tree would do the trick, and they've gotten out of control ever since we stopped hanging. That tells me all I need to know about Miller Donald. That's actually, it blows my mind to have that much hatred for a group of people that you want to bring back lynching. Essentially is what it is. There was no, let me say this in a way where I don't sound racist or where I don't sound as brash, but no. He said rope in a tall oak tree. And this could be an easy trap for me to fall into, and it's kind of what they want, for me to just, hate all white people. That's not what I'm going to do, or would I ever do, because that's the same thing they could do for us. A small group of people make a dumb mistake or say something stupid, and then they want to judge our entire race. I'm not going to do that same thing. You can't fight fire with fire in this situation. It's all just going to get worse. I would like to believe that most white people don't think like this. But I think one thing would be great is for the white people that see their other counterparts talking like this, use your privilege and call it out. It does nobody any good with you not saying anything. If you're not part of the solution, guess what? You're part of the problem. There's no way people should be going around saying stuff like this unchecked. And these are people that are in our society every day. They could be a police officer. They could be a lawyer. They could be a judge somewhere. They could be in the White House. And these people have these mindsets and that innate hatred towards a group of people. That's ridiculous. For me, as a black person looking at the situation, there has been an other side. There was a video on Twitter. Excuse me. There was a video that showed the punches being thrown. That said the guy was a white supremacist who was antagonizing this group of black kids at the fair, and apparently he called them the N-word multiple times. And then the tweet says they were fearing for their life, and that's when they punched them. After watching the video, like I said, let me preface this by I was not there, so I don't have a real account of what happened. I'm looking at this just as you all are looking at this. From the video, I see no indication that they were in immediate danger for their life. However, if they were indeed fearing for their life, you would have to understand them lashing out. Also, if it's true that he was a white supremacist, throwing around the N-word at a group of kids, black kids, I'm not condoning violence. I said this to Jackson earlier. I'm not condoning violence, but if you're throwing around the N-word, you absolutely deserve whatever is coming to you. Don't be surprised if you get punched in the mouth when saying it. If you're going to be bold enough to say it, be bold enough to take the consequences that come along with it. Do I condone violence? No. Am I happy this guy is dead? No. Every life on this earth is precious. I say that. Whether you love me or hate me, hey, your life is your life. I don't want to take that from anybody. But if you're out here really just saying anything, being full of hatred, and if he was out here spewing racist rhetoric, you got to be ready to deal with the consequences. And I think that's the thing that's happened since 2016, once Donald got in office. There's been a lot more outward expressions of people's true feelings about people in this country. There have been people rising up out of nowhere feeling a lot more bold to speak their racist rhetoric. The last shooting that happened in El Paso, dude said he was specifically targeting Hispanics, Mexicans. I don't know the term he used. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Latinos. I know there's a difference. Hispanics. You know who I'm talking about. Y'all know who I'm talking about. And I don't think it's any type of coincidence that the President of the United States talks about kicking these people out and the treatment of those types of people at the border. It's no coincidence that after the President spews this type of rhetoric, that you have people fired up and charged up that lead these types of attacks. It's no coincidence that when the leader of this quote-unquote leader of this country spews racist rhetoric, that you get people like this fired up and bold and possibly say, I don't know if this guy said it or not. Like I said, that's just a tweet that he was saying racist stuff. But there's even been people that have clearly said it. And you know they're fired up. They feel more charged to do this, more free to do this because of who's in power. If who's in power has no filter and has no type of gauge for respect, then why would they? There's no example. I'm hoping that we can get to a point in this country, and I'm sure it'll come. I'm confident it'll come one day, that we can just get past differences. Granted, actually, I take that back. I don't think we'll ever completely get away from it, but I do believe there will be a day. Well, we'll just all be a lot more harmonious. Because, I mean, if we're being real, a lot of the people that are spewing this racist stuff, they're a small group. They are a small group. but they are a very loud group. That's why I tell people all the time, especially my generation and especially black people, if you have a platform, use it. If you don't have a platform, make one. And that's what I've done with this show. I feel like I have thoughts and I have opinions, I have advice, and I feel like people need to hear that. Whether it be 30 people or 1,300 people that the first episode reached. Which still blows my mind. Shout out to every single one of y'all that have tuned in for something that I started in my bedroom to reach 1,300 people. Let me see the exact number. Is it 13? Hold up, y'all. Okay, I lied. It ain't 13. It's 1,076. It's still a ridiculous number. Use your platform. Speak out. Because there's going to be some people that think a lot worse stuff. And they're going to speak a whole lot louder and spew their racist or hatred rhetoric. And sometimes it's heard a lot more. But think about the power of the people that actually spoke out on what was right. Spoke out on love. Speak out on equality. If people would actually band together and a lot more people would speak out about that, the changes that could be made in this country. Not even this country, but this world. Sounds like I need to run for president. Anyway. Use your voice. Go out and vote so we don't have people in office that kind of enable this type of activity. Go out and be informed. See who you're actually voting for. Don't just sit back and just, oh, well, if that's what the news told me, I'm just going to go by that. Yes, the news is all well and good, but go out, listen to different news outlets, read a newspaper, look at some articles, actually get informed on the issues. I forgot where I was actually going with that, but you get my point. I feel like there was something I was trying to connect that back to. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. Hopefully, I was saying I will get to a point. I think as long as we're different, there's subtle differences with us on this earth. I don't think we'll always get past. I don't think we'll ever completely get past people hating the differences of other people, because there's always going to be idiotic people like that, or they just want to hate on something different. But I do think there'll come a day where we will be much more harmonious. Because when you think about it, there's a lot of mixed babies popping up around here. Let's be real. There's a lot of mixed babies showing up. And you know Uncle Cletus can't be happy about that. But guess what? Uncle Cletus ain't going to be here that much longer. So it's up to the younger generations to say, hey, whatever Uncle Cletus was saying, that ain't going to rock no more. We've got to be the generation that turns it around. And like I said, it takes courage from the people with the privilege. In that case, that would be white people. They've got to take a stand, call out the people when they're acting out, and say, hey, let's not rock like that. It takes people in power with privilege to say, hey, put legislation in place that actually benefits equality in this country. I do think there will come a day. And I think it won't be as far as we think. That we'll actually get to a place where we won't have to worry about somebody punching somebody at a fair and it turning into a race war. Where people talk about bringing back lynching, which is insane. They'll just call it straight by the law, and that'll be it. Is it wishful thinking? Maybe. But somebody's got to want that for this country. Anyway, before I start getting to my campaign speech, honestly, I might mess around and run for president. Because if nobody else is going to take charge, why not me? So after I'm done coaching the Panthers to 8 straight Super Bowls, I'm sure I'll go into politics. It's almost inevitable. People have told me, I still have an aunt that calls me Mr. President to this day. I have former teachers that have always told me I should run for president. I had a teacher write in my yearbook in middle school, don't forget me when I'm taking my acceptance speech on election night. So will I run for president? Maybe. I wouldn't be opposed to it. But hopefully there's somebody that comes along before me that has enough sense and enough integrity and like intestinal fortitude to say, hey, let's call it out and let's make a change. It's a lot easier said than done, but it's got to start somewhere. It's got to start somewhere. Now we get to a part where after I just got mad deep right there, we're gonna do some Q&As. These questions were sent to the Twitter DMs of the Real One Podcast Twitter page. You can follow us at Real One Podcast, at Real, the number one, podcast on Twitter. Submit your questions, and we're going to do a quick Q&A here, kind of wrap up the episode. Also, let me know, do y'all prefer the longer episodes or like on the shorter end? I feel like this one definitely be on the shorter end. I'm only at like 36 minutes right now, something like that. And the last few episodes have been like an hour or so. So let me know. Longer episodes, shorter episodes, what you want me to talk about that week. And should I put these out more often? I'm trying to get more consistent and find some time in the schedule to put these out, but let me know what you think. Real One Podcast on Twitter. Real, the number one, podcast on Twitter. All right, let's get into Q&A. Like I said, these were sent into the DMs. Whether or not these are actual people's dilemmas, I have no clue. You will remain anonymous if you send in a question, unless you say otherwise. But the first question says, I suffer from kidney failure. My girlfriend of 4 years and I were a perfect donor match, and she gave me hers. I'm stronger and feeling good. Meanwhile, she's gained weight and thinks giving me a kidney means I'm giving her a ring. I'm not. How do I dump her kindly? Thanks for your advice. Goodness, first of all, please tell me this is a joke. This got to be a joke. I mean, I don't want to make light of the situation, but that's wild. You said she gave you her kidney. How many kidneys do we have? We got 2 kidneys? Alexa, how many kidneys do I have?
This might answer your question. The typical adult human has 2 kidneys.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Thanks for your feedback.
So, yeah, 2 kidneys. So she gave you her kidney when you needed a kidney. And now she's gained weight. And you don't want to marry her. Now, does gaining weight have anything to do with the marriage part? Or did you not want to marry her in the first place? Because first of all, if you're in a relationship for 4 years and you just have no intention of getting married, what are you doing? That's just me, though. If I'm with somebody for 4 years, you might as well get a tax write-off and get married at the very least. It's a business move at the very least to get married. If you're going to be together for 4 years, that means you're buying her stuff. You're spending money. Why not make it at least, on the very least, this is just surface level. I'm not saying it's what I would do, but I'm just saying surface level. Why wait that long? Just go ahead and get married for the tax purposes. Secondly, if you knew you had no intentions of marrying her, excuse me. Hold up, let me take a little sip of water real quick. A little sip. If you had no intentions of marrying her, did you know this from the beginning? That's what I want to know. Like before the relationship even got to the 4-year point or the kidney failure point, did you know you didn't want to marry her, and did you communicate that with her? If not, kind of a dirtbag. It's kind of messed up. You let this woman give you a kidney. First of all, she stayed with you for 4 years, which means there had to be some type of connection there for 4 years for you to tolerate somebody. And then she gave you a kidney? That ain't like you can't just keep the receipt and get that back. That's a kidney. Can you do that? Can you like reverse if she donated a kidney, can you donate that one back? That's beside the point. Anyway. Yeah, you're wilding for that. you're wild. I would recommend you go talk to somebody. You gotta tell her. You can't just. What are you just gonna stay? Because at some point she's gonna start asking like, "Hey, when are we getting married?" She's gonna continue asking that, and at some point you're gonna tell her, "Hey, I'm just kind of using you for your kidney." I don't know what else to tell you. There's no way to do this. You said, how do I dump her kindly? There is no way to do this kindly. At this point, it's an L either way. Hold on, what is this? My front door just opened. Well, anyway, there's no way to do this kindly. You're past the kindly stage. It's going to be messed up either way. Second question. Okay, this one's about me. It's actually a question about me. Second question is, what do I plan on doing once I graduate from college? I feel like I might have answered this before on a previous episode. I don't know. I got to keep track of which questions I've answered. But the goal is to graduate in 3 years. And then that's undergraduate in 3 years. And then I'll get my master's in that 4th year. So in 4 total years, I'll have 2 degrees. Which is shout out to Coastal Carolina University for having that program in place. Where I can graduate in 3 years and then get my master's in the 4th. And plus they put money towards that master's program, that'll help. And then after that, my long-term goal is to be head coach / GM of the Carolina Panthers. That's the goal. To be the GM and head coach for the greatest franchise in the league. I said it. Granted, that franchise needs somebody like me in there to actually run the show properly. And actually, if you're the Carolina Panthers listening to this, don't take nothing I just said about the franchise being run poorly. Don't. That was just a joke. That was just a joke. Y'all are doing a great job. But if you're not listening, yeah, that franchise needs somebody like me to actually get in there, turn it around, and just actually, there's so much. It's easy to say from a fan standpoint, but there's so much that should be done just on a business standpoint, not even on the field of play yet, but just from a business standpoint that I think could be done better. And just the fact of the NFL period, there's too many old white dudes in power in the NFL. There needs to be more, first of all, younger people, 2, more black and minority people in power in the NFL. That's one of the biggest reasons why I want to do it. So somebody can see that, hey, there's people that look like me doing this. And then we kind of open up a lot more different avenues for people in the NFL. So that's the goal. Right immediately after graduation, I'll either continue working here with the football team, or I will more than likely seek an internship in the NFL, hopefully with the Panthers. I'm open to almost any team. I wouldn't want to move to Minnesota, but if they're offering me a good contract, I'll take it. But obviously, I'd say my big 3 for teams, I'd take Carolina. I would do either LA team, either the Rams or the Chargers. And then, I don't know after that. I'd preferably stay close to home and close to family. I have family in California. I have family in North Carolina, so obviously I'm a big family guy, so I want to stay close to family. But in a league like that, in a business like that, in a field like that, family time doesn't come that often, which I already recognize. But if I can at least be closer, which is why I'd love to stay in Charlotte, that'd be the best case scenario. What's crazy is I'm getting text about the fair incident right now. Third, we'll make this the final question. Somebody asked, "Are you single? And if so, what do you look for in a significant other?" They said they're young and they're looking for a relationship, but haven't quite found what they're looking for, haven't quite found the perfect person yet. I was wondering if I had any advice. First of all, to address that part, you will never find the perfect person. You just won't. The only perfect person ever to walk the face of this planet is Jesus himself. And you ain't dating Jesus. Hate to break it to you. You're not going to date Jesus. Secondly, somebody just asked me, what do I think about what happened at the fair? Well, tell them to tune in at youtube.com/real1podcast, and they could be finding out live right now. Anyway, go back to the first part of your question. What do I look for? And a significant other. I'm one of those people. I'm not. It'd be a lie to say I'm not a looks person. Anybody that says, "Oh, I don't care what you look like. I just care about your personality," that's garbage. That's garbage. Nobody can honestly say, "Yeah, looks don't play any factor." That's not true. So honestly, you got to look good. I'm not saying that's the biggest priority, but hey, it helps. Anyway, that kind of sounded kind of shallow, but it's facts. We keep it real on this, Anyway, aside from that, you gotta be smart. And I'm not saying you gotta know everything about everything. I'm just saying let's start at common sense. The amount of my stomach just, I don't know if y'all heard that, but anyway, the amount of people I encounter on a daily basis that just lack basic common sense is ridiculous. It's like just basic stuff, just common sense, like common courtesy stuff, just stuff people you think would know. That smart, as in, let's be informed on some stuff too. Like, you don't have to love politics as much as I love politics, but at least be informed on some issues. Don't be completely apolitical, just not care. You got to be honest with me, honest and open. That's common sense. You got to have a sense of humor, because I got a sense of humor. And if you can't deal with my humor, that ain't going to go far. Or if you just got doo-doo humor, that ain't going to go far. My whole family is full of just humor, really. I don't think there's anybody in my family that's not funny. I can't think of anybody in my family that's not funny. Yeah, I can't think of in my family that's not funny. And I'm not like necessarily ha funny for a lot of people, but there's some people in my family that just the way they are is funny. Like there's some goofy people. There's people that crack jokes, and then you got the people that are just funny in nature. Like just the way they act and just certain things about them just make people laugh. But beside the point, yeah, you got to be funny, sense of humor. And then obviously the biggest thing, you gotta love Jesus. There's not really a debate there. It's kind of a deal breaker. You can't just say, that Jesus guy, I don't really rock with him. If you can't rock with Jesus, you can't rock with me. And I know a lot of people say, oh, you're just gonna cut somebody off because they don't agree with you religion wise. That's a big part of who I am. So that's a big part of who I am. And you're supposed to merge your life and mine. There's going to be a void there that I can't connect to you. It's like just plugging plugging a what you call it? Taking a plug and trying to plug it straight into the wall without there being an outlet. You're just gonna keep hitting something, but you can't fill that void there. I forgot the last part of your question. Let me look back at it. Am I single? Oh yeah. Am I single? Yeah, I am. I don't. I can't remember if I answered that part yet. I think I say this every episode, but yeah, your boy is single. I'm about 6'6", 215. Jesus forgive me. But anyway, I got the Instagram _King Johnson 24. Y'all know what's up. Hey, somebody better tell somebody. Hey, just let them know. I'm just saying. But anyway, that's about it. I feel like we had a good, healthy dialogue. Get at me on Twitter with your thoughts. I want to start doing this with a camera. Once I start finding a good camera and a good way to record this, I want to start actually recording this thing with like an actual podcast. I want to go full on Joe Rogan. So let me know with ideas with that. Tell me what you think. It's been your boy Brian Johnson. This has been the Real One Podcast. Thank you for rocking with your boy. Stay real.